Tandem Nomads, episode 225. All right, if you're taking your business seriously and you really care about making money consistently, you cannot go any further without making sure that you are actually sitting down and planning your revenues and your action plan to reach them. And this is how you do that. Hello, Nomad Nation. Welcome to Tandem Nomads, the podcast show and entrepreneurship platform where you can find great inspiration and tips to grow a successful portable business and thrive in your global nomadic life. This is your host, Emel Deregi. I'm a business and marketing coach and the founder of Tandem Nomads. This episode is part of a series where I answer the questions of the audience of Tandem Nomads, you, Nomad Nation. So I'm really grateful that so many of you have been sharing some amazing questions, and I've decided to put this challenge to myself to answer one question in each episode and give you as much value as I can in 15 minutes or less. So let's see how that goes today. So Nomad Nation, if you have a burning question that you want me to address in order to help you start or grow your portable business, make sure to go to the show notes of this episode where you will find a link to drop your question. Go to tandemnomads.com/225 and you will find the link at the end of that page where you can leave your question. I am here to help and excited to learn about what are you working on in your business. Today's question is from Cath Brew, and it says, how can I plan and predict my revenue goals? I love this question because it tells me that Cath is really putting her business as a priority and being very intentional about planning this revenue goal every single year, every single quarter, and even every single month, because that is how you actually generate revenue, is by planning it and being intentional about it and sitting down and having a strategy to reach those goals. In fact, tell me if this is you, Nomad Nation, honestly. You have your business, you're doing everything right, you are showing up consistently, but you don't really take the time to measure your sales, to track your goals, and to actually sit down and have a plan to reach those goals. You're just hoping for the best while you work hard at trying to reach for your clients. Well, if this is you, this episode is definitely for you. And don't worry, you're not alone. A lot of people go through that when they are starting out with their business. And the more you are intentional about planning them, the more success and results you will see. So thank you so much, Cath, for asking this great question. And I'm actually going now to take you through 3 important steps for you to be able to plan those revenue goals. The first step is to understand what is essential for you to be able to actually predict your goal. What is very important for you to achieve even before you sit down and set up your goals and work on achieving them. Well, the first thing to set up is a marketing strategy that is actually attracting your prospects, and in marketing, what we call your qualified leads. So this is a lot of jargons and marketing jargons, but ultimately you need to be very consistent at knowing where's your ideal client and reaching them on a consistent base in a way that allows you to give them value and collect their contacts. Collecting your prospects' email addresses is really important for you to start building your relationship with them. To be able to do that, you absolutely need to have a lead generation strategy, a way to create consistent content and collect your emails. That is indeed the only way you will be able to have a constant flow of clients coming in, but also for you to be able to predict your potential in terms of revenue. You will see there's a direct correlation between the size of your list and the potential of your revenues. So this is how important building your email list it is, because it is directly related to your revenue. And there is a formula for it that I'm going to share with you. But before, if you want to learn how to build consistent content and grow your email list, I have a workbook for you where I take you step by step through the process, some exercises to be able to get to that point where you can do that. So make sure to go to tandemnomads.com/225 and download your free workbook. Also, if you're really serious about learning how to create content that generates hot leads and great potential clients, make sure to consider joining my online course called the Portable Business Accelerator. You will have the information inside this workbook and you can also contact me if you want more information. So go to tandemnomads.com/225. I ran over this real quick because that's not the point of this episode, but know that you cannot predict your revenue if you don't already have a lead generation strategy, or in other words, a strategy to attract your ideal client and build a true relationship with them on a consistent base. So once you have started building a lead generation and growing your email list, that is then the next step for you, which is starting to calculate your potential and plan it. So how do you do that? How do you plan your financial goals in a realistic way and also track it? So the first thing to be able to predict but also plan and reach your revenue goals is to actually know what you are selling. So I highly recommend you to sit down, look at your offers, look at your different packages, your different products, etc., and define a clear pricing and strategy and a sales strategy for each. You want to know how are you going to sell each of them, and which strategy are you going to launch? Are you going to actually reach out one-on-one? What is going to be your consistent strategy to sell it? So here it goes back again to your marketing strategy, which I cover in the workbook. But it starts first by really sitting down and listing all your products and services and defining which ones are you going to focus on. And ultimately, and this is important, having a calendar where you decide what are you going to sell when and how much of it. So you need to sit down and look at your calendar and have a clear strategy of where are you going to put your focus. And that's another thing that I highly recommend you is to not try to sell everything at once in the same time, is to actually have, if you have different products, if you have different offers, to decide which offers are you going to push and when. So having a content calendar as well as a sales calendar is what will help you be very effective at knowing what you sell and when you sell, and have a strategy to actually reach your goals. So I invite you to literally take your calendar for the year and put into that calendar the dates of when you will be launching the promotion of which specific product as well. So be very specific, put it in the calendar so that your marketing and your content and your outreach efforts lead to selling that product or service. All right, so once you decide when you're going to promote what product or service or package or offer, then you want to start looking at the numbers and planning your revenue goals and figuring out if they are realistic. So there is a formula for this that I share with you in the workbook of this episode. So go to tandemnomads.com/225, as I said before, and you will find in that workbook this formula that I'm going to describe to you right now. The formula will be described in the third section that is called conversion inside the workbook. So the first step is to define what is your goal. What is the goal that you want to achieve in terms of sales for that particular product or service? Let's say your revenue goal to sell a particular product is $100,000 a year. So the next step now is to calculate how many clients does that represent. So what you want to do is then take the average price of your product or service and then divide it by that revenue. And that is, in this example, 200 clients. So now that you know what is your revenue goal and how many clients does that represent, you need to then know what is your conversion rate. because that is the rate that you will know how many people you need to reach out to actually find those 200 clients. In fact, as I often say, sales is about numbers. For you to be able to reach 200 clients, you are going to have to reach to many more people to actually be able to find among them those 200 people. So it is not always easy when you just start to get to know what is your average conversion rate. So this comes with practice, and the more you practice, the more you pay attention, the more you'll get better at converting. So I can tell you that on average, especially in the online business world, a good conversion rate is anywhere starting from 10% and up. So to get there, you need a lot of practice. So on average, when we start, the conversion rate is around 1 to 3%. And then the better you get at it, the more you get closer to 10%. So I highly recommend you to start with a percentage rate of 3%. Let's be ambitious and let's be positive that you can do it. Have, for example, 3%. Now, I want you to choose also a number that you feel comfortable with, and you'll see that with the rest of the formula, how you can make that adjustment as well. So let's say the percentage is 5%. So based on those 200 clients, so in order to reach 200 clients, you need 4,000 leads, 4,000 prospects, 4,000 people on your email list and on your list of contacts for you to be able to convert them into those 200 clients. So this is a formula that you can adapt to your conversion rate. Now you know that you have to have 4,000 people in your list. So the next step for you is, first of all, to look at your list. If it's not that number, then it means that you have to either change your revenue goal, or even better, to actually have an aggressive strategy that all focus about growing your email list and reaching that number. This is how you can start becoming a pro at reaching your goal, is by knowing that number of leads and making everything you can to reach that number of leads instead of focusing on the number of sales. Then, for you to be able to reach that number of sales and leads, you want to break it down into baby steps. For example, let's say that your yearly goal is to reach 4,000 leads. Then it means that it's 1,000 per quarter, 300 per month, 83 per week, 11 per day. So how much easier does that feel when you say, I need to have 11 new leads per day rather than 4,000 leads a year? So focus on those baby steps, and this is how you also become a pro at really being effective and intentional about reaching your goals. Now, by doing this formula, if you see that it's not realistic for you to reach that number of leads, then adapt that number of leads that you think you can reach, and then reverse the formula for you to know how much is that revenue potential for you to be able to reach based on the number of leads and people that you have on your list and how many you think you can really keep growing so that you reach that number of clients. So this is how you calculate your revenue goals. And for you to learn more about that, as I said, in this workbook, I guide you through this practical exercise. And if you want to go deeper into this and learn step by step how to actually generate all those leads and reach your clients, then I highly recommend you to join us inside my online course called the Portable Business Accelerator. Inside the workbook, you'll find all the information, and you can reach out to me as well if you're interested. Now, the third step is to continuously observe your conversion rate. The more you sell, the more after your sales period, you want to calculate that conversion so that you can keep improving it and adjusting it. This is how you start as well becoming a pro, and predicting your revenue goals is by actually paying attention, the more you do it, to that conversion rate so that your prediction become more and more accurate. All right, I shared with you here the answer to the great question from my great friend Cath Brew. Thank you so much for this fantastic question. How do you plan and predict your revenue goals? I hope you found it insightful and helpful. If you have a question you want me to address for you, make sure to go to the show notes of this episode and find the link where you can post your question. I'd love to know how I can help you in your business. I can't wait to meet you in the next episode. Stay tuned to turn your challenges into great opportunities.